Alright folks, I'm back with yet another bass video. If you haven't figured it out, apparently my goal is to try and demo every bass on the face of the planet. Sadly, I've had probably 100 or more mice basses kind of come through my hands at one point or another, and most of those I don't have any sound or video captures for, so may have to go try to get some of those back and do it. Anyhow, today our victim is a Michael Tobias Designs MTD Kingston series. That's their import series, artist or the artist 4-string bass. So here it is. It's a looker. It's really nice. I like the body shape. You have a lot, complete total access to the frets. So if you're someone that plays in the upper register with your left hand, no problems there. But one big gigantic Music Man style humbucker. It's got, I think they called it smoked chrome. I usually call this black chrome hardware, which is different for a bass. I haven't really seen too much like this before. I think on cars they can look a little gaudy, but on the bass it looks really nice. It's kind of subtle. This is an active bass with it's a 9-volt preamp in here. What I don't like is the 9 volts hidden behind a couple screws instead of a nice access plate. You could have done that better. Truss Rod, as all Michael Tobias or actual Tobias guitars are, is at the neck. I know it's a design element, but they put a truss rod cover on there. Yamaha has a nice little slit with kind of a plastic sleeve in it. I don't know. Yeah, we're keeping dust out, but my beef, it works. I've actually been in there. I've kind of adjusted this a little bit. This is brand new, if you can't tell. The preamp is volume control, treble, mid, and bass. It's a 9-volt system. The bridge is really interesting. This is apparently something you'll see on all the Michael Tobias design stuff. I don't think the old Tobias stuff had it, but it's kind of interesting. So you can kind of see the bridge looks kind of broken here in terms of there's these slots. What happens is when you go to change a string, well, when you put a new string in, you just put it in the slot, pull it down, tighten it up, and you're ready to rock. And when you need to change a string, so if you broke one or if you're just changing them, yes, people break bass strings. I've done it before. Don't be cheap. Buy new bass strings. You won't break them. Anyhow, when you get one out, you can just take them out. The other really nice thing about this is there's no chance of scratching your bass. I have more than a few basses that only have the rear exit versus, say, the back of the body string through style. And I'm always worried. I'm always kind of pulling that ball end up this way, trying to make sure I'm not scratching it. Honestly, what I usually do is I'll cut the string, take off a little bit there so I don't have a little curly Q side going in and digging possibly into the paint. So that's kind of a nice feature. Otherwise, it's fairly standard looking, somewhat modern, not by any stretch of imagination a high mass bridge. Neck is pretty standard fare. You got a rosewood fretboard, maple, 24 medium jumbo frets. It's got decent tuners. These do not have any sort of, or do they? No, these don't have any sort of brand name on them. They work. This is brand new, factory from the box. I don't know what these yellow leader strings are. Maybe somebody knows. I'm not familiar with those. They are fresh, brand new. What do you expect? There is one thing with Tobias and MTD basses. I'll try to show it here. Kind of a design thing. They have what's called a volute, kind of this way. This pops up through here. Hopefully the camera can see that. It is what it is. It's something that Tobias does and Michael Tobias Designs does. I'm sure it's there for structural plus possibly aesthetics, not real sure. Anyhow, that's what this is. Now when you buy this, you get the bass and you get a bag, not a gig bag, but a bag full of the world's cheesiest, cheapest instrument cable, which I do not understand at all. So, anyone that's owned a guitar cable knows that's not what you want to use. But it does come with the truss rod tool and the bridge tool to adjust the saddle height. So there you have it. Very cheesy. Especially these are not bargain basement basses. I've kind of wanted to play one for a long time. It's kind of weird. It seems like they're discontinued, but not discontinued. I don't know if they've done that a couple of times. This one I bought new, so they were certainly available. Your prices on these are usually mid 6s to high 600s. So, the other thing, it is made out of basswood. Which is really weird. They put a clear finish over basswood, and well, basswood's grain is very unimpressive. Basswood's main property, though, is light. So that part of the equation is nice. This is not going to be something you'll have any problem, playing. You play 3 sets on this, and you would care less. It's no big deal. This is 8.5 pounds, maybe. That's my very uneducated guesstimate. Not heavy at all. It's not that PV I reviewed a while back that's damn near 12 pounds. So anyhow, that is that. I can tell you before I start playing here, I put this in my hands, and then right away it felt kind of familiar, and it sounded kind of familiar, and shock. The first thing I felt and thought was Tobias growler, which now that makes perfect sense. Duh, this is sort of his version of that, but different. Again, so back, we had Tobias at his own company. The growler was one of his bolt-on basses. Big differences though. It had a Barlini pickup in it. The coils were splittable. There was like a slap switch. Just completely different, but the neck feels exactly the same. The neck on those, so it's very short, very thin up here, and it widens out, but apparently it's, they call it asymmetrical, so as your thumb kind of goes on, you can keep your thumb here, although I don't really quite believe that. Once you get up to here, I'm always getting my thumb up and over to get to stuff. But yeah, this does somewhat sound like a growler, which strangely is not just that appealing to me. Those are great basses, I know they are, but the sound and the tone is just not me. I enjoy having a couple of pickups. But anyhow, so let's get on with it. So turn up the volume here, and the bass and the treble all the way up, and there's just they're really bright, that's not really for this kind of thing, in your face, kind of real punchy tone. That I don't like as much, and there are a lot of basses that are like this, is that as you turn down the mids, you start losing the highs. So kind of trying to get like a good slap sound on a lot of basses, you can just turn the mids down a bunch, just cut it. So with the bass volume up a little bit, or the amp volume up a little bit, that actually doesn't sound all that bad for a slap tone for this sort of thing. I will say, a Stingray, this is not. But, so we'll turn the mids back up here, and, turn the treble down and the mids down, something like more old school stuff. As far as how much bass there is, without it, it's worthless. So all the knobs do have center detents, by the way, so this would be flat. So probably bring up just the mids. And yeah, we can add the mids and the bass. Let's see what happens if we do mids and bass and treble down. Kind of muddy without the treble. One thing I've noticed, we'll bring everything back up. Chords sound really good on this. I don't know why. But it just rings and rings and rings. And I'll be honest with you, the growler is very similar in that aspect. Another bass that's really similar, which is sort of a copy of a growler and I think a killer bee together. I believe it's called a Court Artisan B4. Those have a lot of the same features. They have the volute on the neck. They actually have a wingay neck like the Tobias growler does as well. So those are real similar basses. But harmonics are pretty good on this. Anytime you can get that kind of third fret 2 octave up is pretty good. Again, there's no compression. If you watch the PV Dynabass video that I put up, that bass has pretty good harmonics, but I threw a ton of compression on it. And you can see a compression will let you cheat on those big time, just as volume will. I'm just in a room here in my house. I don't want to crush my neighbors with this Markbass, so I don't really want to turn those up. But yeah, it's a pretty good bass. Like I said, it's because you don't have a split or anything on this. You don't have an extra pickup. You're not going to get a lot of different tones out of this from the bass itself. You know, you're going to have to go to your amp, your effects platform, whatever you're using to kind of change that up a little bit. But again, pretty good sounding bass. Very nice and light if that's your thing. Kind of different take on the bridge setup. Price isn't bad. I'll be honest with you. Check out one of my other videos. I have a Marcus Miller Sire V7 that I purchased recently, and no contest, folks, no contest. So this is not a Stingray, and honestly, this is not an Ernie Ball Sterling, not the Sterling by Music Man or Sterling by whatever, but the Sterling is kind of a jazz neck version USA of the Stingray. The preamp's a little different, but the tones on those are amazing. So just because you see a big fat single pickup here doesn't mean it's going to exactly do those things. But still, it's a cool bass. I got some decent tones to it. It is what it is, but I think what it does pretty well. Wait, so stay tuned. More bass videos to come.